What up, what up, what up? It's your favorite podcast, Three Brothers No Sense. As usual, I'm Tavares Ferguson. I'm joined with my two great co-hosts, Orazio Macarella, a.k.a. Razi.
What up?
And Buff over there, Byron Evans. Razi, speak to the people.
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank everybody for all the listens, all the engagement, social media, all the shares, everything like that. We just ask that you guys keep sharing, keep listening, and let us know what you all want to hear.
I just want to echo what Razio said, man. We definitely appreciate the comments on the different posts on social media. Of course, the listens, that's the most important thing. And the only thing I ask is that you just tell 10 more people about the show. Make sure they subscribe, rate and review. We're available on like Apple Podcasts now, y'all. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, we all over the place.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I felt special when I saw it on Apple, man.
Yeah.
I felt big time.
I think they set it up on purpose where it's the hardest to get onto. So it's the last one that you actually get onto before, you're when you're on everything. So yeah, it makes you feel good.
So
that's why we know Apple is better than Google. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, don't roll your eyes, Byron.
Thank you. Yeah, just keep it moving. Keep it moving.
All right. Before we get started, people, this is not an official question, but I do have to comment on it or talk to my guys. It is August 22nd, 2019, in the year of our Lord, and we are in the middle of the Great Chicken Wars.
Oh my God.
So we play this podcast 5 years from now. I want everybody to remember this the great chicken wars between Popeyes and the reigning champ Chick-fil-A. Have you brothers been able to partake in the new chicken sandwich from Popeyes?
I have not. I have not had the Popeyes chicken sandwich. I plan on getting it, but I just want to say how prophetic the Boondocks is, and that they had an episode. It wasn't quite a chicken sandwich, but they were selling fried chicken, and people were going crazy over it, and they actually ran out of chicken at one point. So if you're on social media of any kind, you've seen what's been going on in different Popeyes locations. So that must be one good sandwich, because those lines are like leading all the way out to the street, man. So have you had it, Rozzy?
I haven't. I tried, and like you said, the lines are down the street, around the corner, looking like Chick-fil-A lines, actually. Yeah. The problem is they don't have, like, the servers out, take your order 7 cars back before you even get to the order menu. Because I guess Chick-fil-A knows that you know what you want, because you don't even get a chance to get to the menu to decide what you want. They're like, you going to get a chicken sandwich or some chicken nuggets. So
they don't even have like a handheld menu. They're like, all right, what you want?
Man, I asked for a menu the other day. They looked at me like I was crazy.
I'm sorry, Chick-fil-A would never say what you want. They say, may I take your order, please?
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, no. The funny part is walking in to the Popeyes, and they had already sold out. And so there's maybe 7 people in line, because I was going to eat in because the line for the drive-thru was way too long. I walk in, and the cashier says, we out of chicken sandwiches. We won't have no more till Friday. Just like that.
And how many people turned around?
About 400 people turned around and just walked out.
I've had it up to here with all the Popeyes chicken comments, but I have enjoyed the memes. It's been some funny memes. I think the whole they reenacted the Black Panther scene with Killmonger.
Crazy.
Is this your thing?
Hold on. We got to take a second for all the people, because we got into the conversation, but I want to go back and listen to this clip years from now, or people who might be new listeners and might not remember this. So just so you know, point of reference, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, Popeyes released this 2 chicken sandwiches, original and a spicy chicken sandwich, and it started getting a lot of publicity and being compared to Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. And once it started getting compared, it was a snowball effect. And now it has gone crazy. It's trending to the point where each restaurant social media page is beefing about it, Wendy's, who's my favorite fast food social media presence, is just killing them, and it's just pure comedy. So if you're listening to this years from now, please look up the Great Chicken Wars of 2019. And if you haven't had a chicken sandwich by then, you're missing out. So, but in Popeye's defense, people, they're running out because there was no way to foresee that the sandwich would be this big.
Yeah, like the chicken sandwich going viral, you couldn't really forecast that at all. And I even made a comment on one of the posts about next week or 3 weeks, once the viralness of this goes away, they're going to have a whole bunch of chicken sandwiches in the back getting old because, they're going to over order to accommodate everybody now. And then once the newness is gone, I think it'll level back out, but they're going to have a whole bunch of over inventory.
But before we get out, fellas, I have had the sandwich. I've had it 3 times.
Three. See, good job, Byron. You didn't curse.
I
saw the writing on the wall. I travel for work, so a lot of times I just stop for fast food just to grab something quick. And I had it once, and it was pretty good. For you guys that don't know me, I hate mayo, so I didn't get it with the mayo or anything like that. But it's 2 different flavors. It's a really fresh chicken breast. It's breaded well. I really can't complain. Had a Chick-fil-A sandwiches Saturday as well. Still good. I think Chick-fil-A sandwiches is great because all the additional stuff can get it. But chicken-wise, I think Popeyes edged them out. So that's my take.
Now, you didn't have the spicy one, right? So I hear a lot of the complaints is that the Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwich is actually a spicy chicken breast versus just throwing some spicy mayo on the top of the other one.
I don't know, but they don't just bring the spicy chicken from Popeyes. That's what I was expecting when they said spicy chicken.
Yeah, because they have like mild and spicy chicken. Why wouldn't they actually make a spicy chicken sandwich?
All right, you know what, fellas? We can't let us
we can't take the whole episode on this.
We sitting there, we're making commercials for Popeyes, so that reminds me, let's go ahead and pay these bills real quick.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
All right, welcome back. Now it's time for us to get into my favorite part of the show. Let's get on with the questions. As usual, I'll kick it off. So, fellas, this past year, we've had a lot of things thrown at us, from the Me Too movement to a lot of people talking about there's an attack on Black men and all this other propaganda. So my question for you guys is, do you feel, I guess it's multiple parts, what is your ideal masculinity, and do you feel that Black masculinity is being attacked?
What is our idea of masculinity, and do we feel that? Okay, Roz, you sound excited. You want to jump in?
I'll jump in. Well, on the whole attacking of Black masculinity, because my idea of masculinity isn't the big guy that I cut the grass and I take care of the house and my wife stays home and barefoot and pregnant and and I got to be the one that has to provide and everything like that. I mean, I feel like we're so far past that when it comes to masculinity. My thing is being masculine is being a good human being and being a good spouse, filling in the gaps wherever that may be. So my part of being a masculine is being a father. I understand that, there are situations and relationships that there's two males in the house or there's two females in the house. So, is there going to be some masculinity in that somewhere? More than likely one of those people. So I don't even think it has to be a male to be masculine. I feel like it just needs to be somebody that's taking whatever role it is to help raise those kids and lead them down and be a buffer or a counterbalance to the feminine in the relationship. And so when people talk about, is there an assault on Black masculinity? I think the problem is they're trying to hold on to the gender roles of the past. And so when they say, it's an attack on masculinity, it really is just we're evolving past gender roles, and people don't want to evolve past those gender roles. People don't, and that's why we still have the gender pay gap. That's why, a lot of women can't get good jobs because men still want to be like, I got to run the company, or a woman can't run the company, and those types of things. And so I feel like there's no assault on masculinity. What it is it's letting people be who they want to be, fill in the gaps where they want to fill in the gaps, and change those historical norms that I am okay with changing. I think they need to change.
Okay, so you answered both questions. I'm going to have to disagree with Orazio on that one. First off, our whole idea of what masculinity is, it's a good book by Bell Hooks. Some of you may have heard of her. She wrote a book called We Real Cool, and it talks about how we got our whole idea of masculinity from, white males that brought us over here. So some of what Razio said, I do agree with, because there's a lot of chauvinistic male privilege rooted in our idea of masculinity. At the same time, though, I do think we still need those we need those boundaries. We need identified feminine side. We need identified masculine side. And so I think there is room to have it, but you can be masculine without being a pig, as they would say. So, and my idea of masculinity, Ferg, is just I think of the word protector. Protector comes to mind. We are naturally stronger than women. Yes, I know there are exceptions. Female bodybuilders versus the guy that sits on the couch all day every day. But for the most part, males are inherently stronger than women, and we are here. It's my idea that we are to protect them. And I think about the scene in what's that movie with Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise. Talking about. I can't believe it's eluding me. But anyway, I think it's A Few Good Men. It might be A Few Good Men.
Yeah. You can't handle the truth.
Yeah. So at the end, when they find them guilty, and the guy's like, "We did nothing wrong," the black guy tells him, "Yes, we did. We were supposed to protect the old boy, because we're supposed to stand up for people that can't stand up for themselves." And that's what I think the essence of masculinity should be, is to protect not only our women, but anybody that you just seeing being picked on, being bullied or whatever. A lot of times it's our duty to stand up for them. Do I feel like Black masculinity is under attack? I do. I know there have been some white actors that have played female roles, like the late Robin Williams. But, when I look at my man that was in the Old Spice commercials, and, Chris Rock has had to do it, Martin Lawrence, it's like, from a Hollywood standpoint, they can't wait to put some of our more popular males. I'm hoping Chadwick Boseman doesn't have to put on a dress one day, but they love throwing us in a dress, and it seems like they just want to kind of, strip us down and make us less tough. Now, I know you might disagree with that, Razio, but I do kind of see it that way. I do think there's a small attack on Black masculinity. So I'll leave it at that and see what Ferg got to say.
Very interesting points of views, fellas. First of all, I'm not going to say I'm very surprised coming from you two, but I'm surprised nobody mentioned sexuality.
Well, I hinted at that with the whole putting on the dress thing.
Yeah.
Not even that, because, that's a Black man dressing up and playing a role. So masculinity to me is, like you said, I think, Razi, is being more manly. And by that, I look at not manly as far as I'm tough or I'm bigger. It's a maturity thing, because my son, or, a kid is not going to be very, because he's young. He's still immature. He's still developing as a masculine, quote unquote. I'm not even say man, because like you said, there can be females who may have, I guess, what we define as masculine qualities, because what makes that quality masculine? I teeter on this a lot, because I think, especially in our community, we emphasize toughness and being so cool and things that make you more of a man, like the amount of women you sleep with, or how much money you make, or who you can protect. And then all those things we consider masculine. I think masculinity, like you said, is being a protector and being responsible. So we talk about sexuality. A lot of people think about sexuality, and all of a sudden we have on these quote unquote homosexuals, which I'm like, sexuality and masculinity do not go hand in hand. If that person. So
you saying there's a such thing as a masculine gay man?
Why would there be? Sexuality doesn't define you.
But I think society as a whole doesn't always see it that way.
I agree. I don't think society sees it that way. But that's kind of what I was talking about. Is I feel like that I agree, Byron. It's a masculine and a feminine, but I don't think it has to be a male and a female. I feel like it's just somebody to play that masculine role and somebody to be the caregiver and things like that, the feminine role.
So, but when I say homosexual, why do we automatically think this person is quote unquote feminine? Their sexuality, that's the part. There's just their sexuality. Like, they could dress like you, act like you. This just when it comes to who they choose to love, that's their difference. They can play basketball with you, football. They can work out of the gym with you. If you did not know them and what they do in the bedroom, all of a sudden, because of who they choose to love or be with, there's a feminine aspect to it.
Society says yes, but that's the thing. I disagree. I don't think so. I feel like that like you said, that masculine person can like men. I think they are not, tied together at any way.
And that's not just men thinking that way. It's a lot of women that feel that way. Like, a gay man is not masculine. So
yeah.
But I mean, we have this. I'm not going to say false, but I think you were talking about, Byron. Our image of masculinity has been framed by other cultures, and I wouldn't even say by other cultures. It's Americanized Western society. If you travel, just the way we dress, the affection that we have for each other. When I was deployed, and when we were deployed to Afghanistan, the closeness of, we were on an Italian post, Razi and I, and the closeness and the freedom that some of these young men had in American society, it would have been taboo. You would have thought they were quote unquote gay, all kind of probably slurs. And it's like, these men are Italian special forces. They're some of the baddest people in their army. And just because of what their culture makes the norm is not the norm for us, there's a quote unquote feminine aspect. Even traveling to Paris and Spain, and it's, you guys know I like fashion. We look at the way some of Europeans dress and it's like, that's gay. It's like, no, that's just their cultural difference. For them, men still dress up. Men dress a certain way. If you go back to a lot of African tribes, men were more flamboyant as far as their dress and their style than women. I think we've been brainwashed to consider what we think masculinity is and what we accept as masculinity. I think we're harsher on somebody we're more accepting of somebody who displays all of the quote unquote accepted definitions of masculinity, but is a bad person, or not a bad person, not a responsible person. He can be with multiple women doing all this dirt fighting, doing all kind of stuff, but he's a man's man. He's a masculine. But you could have somebody involved in a gay community who's adopted a kid, mentoring, takes care of his home, takes care of his family, does things in the community, holds down a job, all the things that you would want from your kids or somebody that you look up to. But because of their sexuality, we think of them as less masculine off the top.
And when I say there's an attack on masculinity, I don't mean the typical male. You know, the Me Too movement, as you mentioned in your opening statement, they got a lot of pushback because a lot of average men were saying, oh, they don't want us to be men, so now we can't even look at a woman and all that stuff. I'm not talking about that nonsense, because we all should know the difference between, you know, what sexual harassment is and what's not, you know, what sexual assault is and what's not. So by no means do I mean any of those arguments or cases are an attack. I guess I meant mostly in Hollywood is where I see the attack sometimes. Like, I see it there a lot, but not to the extent of the other people.
But I think that's a good point. I think that's kind of what made me think of it. And that's why I brought up Me Too, because the qualities of manhood or masculinity we want to defend, are they really masculine qualities? Or they're just these perceived qualities that because of our male privilege, we've been able to get away with. And so we lump them in the same category as masculinity. Does that make sense?
I hear what you're saying. I mean, but you got people that don't even want to acknowledge male privilege exists. And it does. It's funny too, man, because I've actually literally heard a black man make all these cases for white privilege and how white privilege exists and how he's been oppressed. And then when you try to point out sexism, he uses the same arguments that some white people argue against when they try to say there is no white privilege. Like, it's like almost word for word. It's like, how do you not see this, man?
Yeah. I mean, I use that for you talking about homosexuality and stuff. I was having a conversation with some friends about, you know, gay rights or civil rights. And like, there's so many black people that will talk about civil rights, but then ignore like the LGBTQTIA, I think is what Ferg said, community and their struggles, right? So it's civil rights is civil rights. It's like treating everybody equally means I don't care who you love or whatever. If two consenting adults want to go to a courthouse and say, yep, we're hitched, and when we divorce, we're going to split our money 50-50, you know? Yeah. So my thing is that's what equal rights and equal protection is. So civil rights is everybody's problem, not just because you're African American, because you will look for black civil rights and that type of thing.
I think that's a great point. I think somebody, one of my groups was talking about this. We're talking about, we're so hell bent, especially in the black community. You see a lot of Black Lives Matter and all the stuff going on, human rights. But we, as a whole, have seemed to have turned a blind eye to stuff that's going on at the border. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not the same as, you know, the homosexuality, but it's just like you said, rights are rights. If it isn't literally relate to us, or we downplay it. You know, I think I posted in our group, I want to say it in our group a few months ago, there was an article written called "Straight Black Men Are the White People of..."
Oh, yeah, I remember that article.
Black people or something like that.
I remember that article, yeah.
And I mean, I got beat up about that. I was called a feminist. I was called everything in the world. Yeah. And it's just like you said, kind of look at it, substitute black and white with male or female. You know, those same arguments exist.
I mean, you're going to get called. I got called. I was told I had my cape on during the whole Nicole Murphy thing. And all I had said was, hey, Nicole Murphy had surgery too. And the brother that made the post, man, he was like, take your cape off. I'm like, dang, man, I'm just pointing out a fact. Yeah. But that's how sensitive males can be sometimes, man. So,
but that goes back to people think it's a zero-sum game. And so everybody feels like if another group is making gains, then I'm inherently losing something. And it really isn't like that. It's like they can make gains and you can still keep what you're doing. But there is some losers and stuff. So we talk about, you know, affirmative action. and you hear that a lot with, well, they're taking jobs that should have been mine. And I have to explain a lot of times what affirmative action really is. Doesn't mean there's no quotas. There's an affirmative action plan doesn't mean that I have to go and hire a black candidate that's less qualified than a white candidate. Affirmative action means that I have to make a concerted effort to make and identify potential candidates that are a minority for this job. That's all it means. I have to have a plan to be able to identify them and get them in front of a manager, and then let that manager decide. And unless that manager has a good reason to hire that minority over that white person, then we can't make the manager do that. Nobody's saying that you have to hire a black person over a white person. What we're saying with an affirmative action plan is that I got two equally qualified candidates. You need to give both of them a look.
Byron, you said something, and it actually kind of went back to my original question. You said men being sensitive, and the way you said it was like it was a negative, like that's a female trait.
No. Rather
than it's a human trait,
Being too sensitive can be a negative thing. It's not, and it doesn't limit itself to women or it could be either sex. But if you're too sensitive and you're always, you can't take any type of constructive criticism whatsoever when the truth and the facts are glaring you in the face. But, your ego, or like what Orazio pretty much said when he's talking about affirmative action was, when you've lived a life of privilege, any type of progress will feel like oppression. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I mean by being too sensitive, not acting like a woman.
Okay. Well, my apologies. That's
no. Hey, but if you thought it, then some of the listeners thought it.
No, but I wasn't saying it in a bad way. But that goes back to masculinity and us having identified traits and us feeling the need to, like, if you're just I'm a deep thinker, or certain things get to me, I'm emotional or passionate about it. All of a sudden now I'm sensitive, and I can't be this way, or it's not accepted being this way, and I need to change how I am. Because this is not what a man or a masculine thing to do.
And I want to say this one last thing. We spent quite a time on this subject, but I'm sorry, ladies, but I've been mostly, like, I expect that behavior from men and the pushback. I do mostly get disappointed at women who say some of the things you just said. He acting like a woman right now. He acting real sensitive right now. Like, on one hand, we hear all the complaints about how there's so much domestic violence and how men are beating on their women, or in more drastic cases, even killing them. And a lot of that can be traced back to they never learn how to express any type of emotions, how to deal with loss, how to deal with rejection. And so it manifests itself into something that extreme. So on the one hand, you can't complain about how men are killing these women at such a high rate. But then when a man does get expressive, or he may cry or really open up and share himself to you, you calling him all these type of names. Mm-hmm. So I especially get disappointed when I see women criticize a man for just expressing how he feels.
Once again, we're taught that we're supposed to follow these rules. And so,
yeah, that's society's idea, or the Western society's idea of masculinity. Is bottling those feelings up and not sharing them.
So we could spend all day on this. It was a topic, and I'll probably come back to another form of this at some point because I have a lot to say. I like to challenge the norm. So appreciate your insight and your input, people. Who's taking it?
I think Rozzy went second last time, so I'll switch it up this time. Keeping with, it's kind of like a different topic. This is what I want to ask you guys, and we're all men, so we have to answer it from our point of view. Any of the female listeners, we'd love for you to chime in on any one of our social media platforms. But when your wife goes out, let's say she goes out with her girls, go to a nice lounge or whatever, is it okay for another man to buy your woman a drink? Is it okay for her to accept it? And ladies, of course, if you're listening, is it okay for your man to buy another woman a drink, or can a woman buy him a drink? Basically, what I'm asking is, Ferg, y'all can't see this, but Ferg got a look on his face like, I wish a mother would. because like I work with somebody and he told me, he was like, man, I tell my girl, accept any drink that's offered to you. You shouldn't have to spend any of your money. And I never looked at it from their ways because, I never liked that. But I just want to get you guys' input on that.
You want to say
you are a little jealous, bro.
Yeah. I didn't want to say it. Thanks for putting me on blast there, right? I don't like it, but
Roger, you want to go?
I'm evolving on that answer. I'm gonna give you my answer at the end, but I want to hear y'all first.
Okay, no, you take it first because that look.
No, actually, it's funny. I'm the exact opposite, bro. The way I look at it. I think of, and we had this conversation recently. I had this conversation recently with my wife because of the Aisha Curry thing. I try to be a student of people and try to understand.
I better be glad we ain't have a show when that was out.
Oh, yes. But like Roger tells you, I'm a thinker. I'm an overthinker. And so when I look at it, I appreciate somebody buying my wife a drink, not because of the money we're not spending. I think we all are, at the end of the day, no matter how much we love each other, we're still human beings. And for the fact that when my wife goes out, she's going to look great. My wife is gorgeous. She's the love of my life. I wouldn't trade her for the world. And I'm not the only person that sees that. So when my wife goes out and somebody buys her drinks or makes her feel good, that makes me feel good. I feel good because I'm pouring that type of energy into her that when she goes out, she has that energy that like, I'm here, I'm comfortable, where I would hate for my wife to go out with her homegirls and guys are hitting on everybody but her. I think she's going to feel some sort of way. Not that she needs that. Right. But it feels good. We all need that in our life. Not need it, but we all appreciate that in our lives.
You're okay with her accepting the drink?
Yeah. Now I want her to watch them pour and stuff like that. She can even flirt a little bit because I know my wife is not going anywhere.
Oh, now Roger, you'll step back on those.
No, she's not going anywhere because on the flip side, once again, I have a very unique relationship. My wife and I talk like nobody's business. We talk about everything. And so a while back, we had this conversation where, like you said, if my wife went out, I expect somebody to hit on her and buy her a drink. For one, it lets her know that she still has it. And it also made me look like I ain't the only one that still sees it. Like if everybody else wife go out and or lady go out and she's the only person I get hit on, am I crazy? Is my wife still cute? So that's why I understood what Aisha Curry was saying to a certain extent. But I expect that from her. Men, we don't get that same treatment. I'm not going to be sitting at a bar and a woman's like, excuse me, sir, can I buy you a drink? So in my relationship, I try to work out. I try to stay healthy. I try to look nice. And when I go out, I never take my wedding ring off. I never downplay me being married. Like if you look on my Apple Watch, there's a picture of me and my family. If you look on my cell phone, my screensaver is me and my family because I put my family first. But I still like to know I still got it. So I flirt a little bit. And the crazy thing about it is I'll be texting my wife the whole time, like, baby, I still got it. Like they over here loving the photo. They love me, baby. She's like, yeah, baby. Well, you looking good. You've been working out. I see why they love you. You got that shirt. They got your arms pop. Like she buys into it. She makes me feel better because she's confident that I'm not doing anything. She's helping me feel better because she knows I still got it and she's happy. And we're it's a game for us. It's like, okay, I know you still got it. Just like the conversations, like most conversations I have with people, they cannot hold my attention. But it's also like, okay, you start texting somebody at 9:30. You don't come home at 2:00. You don't get ghosts for 4 or 5 hours. If I start texting my wife at 9:30 that they're filling a photo, at 11:30, I'm walking in the door because I don't want her thinking that I got ghosts or anything like that. Went on a long tangent with that, but I like it. I want my wife to feel desired. I'm confident that she's not going anywhere. I want her to always feel like she can be herself. Because if I'm worried about a guy buying her a drink, a $10 drink, I got bigger problems to worry about, man.
I'm kind of there with you. With my wife, it's like, yeah, you can take a drink from a guy. Now, if he buying you 3-4 drinks all night, that type of thing, most guys are going to expect something after that. And so that's my thing. You can take a drink, but that's why I was like, whoa, when you were like, oh, yeah, you can flirt a little bit, that type of thing. Nah, player. Ain't no flirting. Ain't no dancing. You're not going to go out there and dance with nobody. That is like a pet peeve of mine. You're not going to be grinding on no other guys. You better do the little girl circle and do whatever you're gonna do, but nah, you ain't gonna be out there grinding on no dude for drinks and stuff. I'm cheap, and so we not that hard up for money that you can't spend $9 or $10 on a drink if you need to, to get a drink. But Jenica, she's a beautiful girl, so she's gonna walk in and she's gonna get drinks, and I'm like, go ahead. Take the drink. Make sure, like Ferg said, you can see that who's pouring it. Now, if he's bringing you a drink, nah, player, we ain't taking that. Like that's just normal, club safety. But if you're at the bar and you're about to buy your own drink, and somebody like I got it, or hey, I'm buying drinks, and go ahead, take that drink. We're gonna save that money. Yeah, take the drink, but just make sure that there's no expectations behind it or anything like that.
But I think you have to know the person you went to. Like, I don't see, like, for one, I don't see my wife dancing with the other guy. Like, she's not going to be the person in the club that's going to be, you going to look up and your wife's on Instagram, or Snapchat. My wife probably won't leave the bar. She probably wouldn't even flirt. Like, she's more reserved than that. So I think that's part of the reason I have that additional confidence. And I think same thing with Jenica. Like I don't see her being at 2 or 3 drinks in the middle of the dance floor, like grinding on somebody.
No. Jenica gets 2-3 drinks in, she might be in the middle of the dance floor. As long as ain't nobody behind her, I'm all right with that.
I say grinding on somebody.
So yes or no, real quick. Can you guys can buy another woman a drink?
Oh,
yeah. But the thing about it, I never do. I never do. But that's something I really didn't even do when I was single like that. I'll buy us rounds before I just buy one single person a drink.
Yeah. Like I've done that where I'm at the bar and like there's 3 people at the bar and I'm like, I got everybody here or whatever. Yeah. But like there's really no reason for me to buy an individual female a drink. You know what I mean? Now and that's different. It's different if I've got female friends there. Like, if it's a work outing or something like that, and I'm like, hey, I got this round or I got your drink, and then, somebody else might get it next time. That's totally different. But like, I don't see the point of me buying a single female a drink at the bar. Like, why would, because again, along with that drink comes the expectation of, I'm trying to have this conversation in this time with you and strike up something. So I see no point in that.
So to be clear, Rozzy, it's yes for you, but only one drink. And to bars, I'm guessing there's no limit.
Well, my wife's not a heavy drinker, so I just want her to make sure she's always in control of her situation. I don't want her getting too drunk or anything like. I wouldn't want her to drink more than she would without me being there. So I always want her to be safe.
All right. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and say, typically, me and my wife, we don't play spades like that usually. I'll say this. As I've gotten older, y'all know our relationship. We've been very, very strict with one another in the past. But this question actually came about because she said her and her coworker were talking about this earlier this week. And as we were talking about it, I thought about the answer. And it's like, normally I would have said hell no, but I guess it would just depend on the situation or whatever. But I would say overall, my default answer is nah, because when my wife goes out, I usually give her money to buy her own drinks, and she's not a big drinker anyway. All she needs is like a shot and maybe 1 or 2 other drinks. So for me, there's no need, and there's just like Ferg. Man, we completely different. Another dude giving the okay for another dude to flirt with your wife, like I won't even say the word, but that's an F no for me right there. Like you can say, I guess for me, it's okay to say your wife and all that stuff, but I also default to we're all human, so we all can fall to some type of temptation. So let's not even go there. Let's not even go there, and let's not even create a possible, maybe once in a lifetime, it was just this one and only time opportunity. Nah.
Yeah. And when I say flirt, well, I'm not talking about rubbing her arm and doing so smooth, those techniques, man.
Got a hand on the small of her back.
Yeah, like I'm not talking about that. Like, don't touch my. I'm very protective of my wife.
The small of the back. Oh yeah.
What I'm saying is, we're at the bar. Like, even when I say I flirt, like I never downplay me being married. I'm a talker. I like to entertain, so I'll entertain and be like, she's feeling like, look, I'll be talking to her. It'd be all three of us at a bar, her and her friends, and I could tell that she's kind of feeling. So I might crack an extra joke and stuff like that, just to let her know, like, well, I kind of see you feeling me, that whatever the case may be. And then I might say some just dumb stuff like, so at what point, I've literally said this, at what point during this conversation did you realize you had a crush on me, and how are you dealing with knowing that I'm married and you can't have me? I said that in the conversation, and I'm like,
so
are you serious? Yeah, she's like,
conclusion on your definition of flirting. I was automatically thinking, yeah, baby. So how happy are you in your?
No. It's just I go out and I have fun. Like I try to have fun in the group, and I don't want to be that guy that's off to the side and can't just like. I'm so stiff. And I want my wife to be able to sit there, and if guys are talking and they're trying to get her attention, she can laugh, little fake laugh, whatever the case may be. But so can I get your number and all that? Like, it should never even get that far.
Yeah, man.
It never gets to that point. So when I say flirt, I mean, like, she can entertain the conversation. She doesn't have to be, oh, I can't talk to this guy. Or, when we were talking about somebody buying her a drink, that's that person coming to her wanting to buy her a drink and trying to get her attention, whether he does or not. Human nature, she's going to feel that much better about it. And I don't want her having this turmoil, like inner turmoil, like, oh my God, this guy's flirting with me and I'm married. It's like, no, buy me a drink. I'm drinking, what's that top shelf stuff right there? That's what I want. And to keep the party going. Like, my husband buys me the drinks all the time. I like it this way.
Yeah. So and my answer to her was, it's definitely not a deal breaker. It's not, like I told her, if it happened and she came home and told me, it's nothing I'm gonna bite her head off about. But I am gonna want to know details.
How was he? Was he tall? I'm that whole short part.
Oh, right. So insecurities, the rise of insecurities, height insecurity is about to come out. He wasn't that tall. He was about 6'4", played basketball, but that was a good one, man.
All right.
I was like, get myself in that much trouble on that one, but my wife knows me.
Okay, well, bring us home, Raji. What you got for us?
All right, cool. So I wanted to go with the 4-year versus a JUCO discussion. In one of our polls, somebody was talking about just financing school, financing college, and everything like that. You guys know I just dropped Haley off to college, and the bills are rolling in. She's like, I need this for parking. I need this for my books, this. And she's at a 4-year institution. So what I wanted to ask you guys is your thoughts on a 2-year going to a JUCO and then moving into a 4-year university versus and talked a little bit about it versus trade school or something like that versus going to a 4-year straight out of high school. And Ferg, I know you had something you talked about with Tegan when she was trying to go to one school and you were like, nope, you're going to another school, that type of thing, to be able to pay for it and keep like student loan debt down, that type of thing. You
want to jump on this first, or you want me to take it, Buff?
I'll go ahead because I think my answer is going to be pretty short. I think you just got to, well, first off, for the uninitiated, JUCO is junior college. You kind of threw that out there like everybody in the world knows that. But just
my bad. Yeah.
Junior college. I think you got to know your kid. And I think it also depends on what they majoring in and how many of those credits will transfer and all that good stuff. So it's definitely something to think about, man, because college is not cheap at all, man. And if you can save money and they can still obtain their goal in a reasonable amount of time, then I'm definitely for JUCO. But it's really like a case by case situation because the cost can be astronomical, and JUCO may be a better route in a lot of situations. But I'm gonna let somebody much smarter expand on this. What you got for us? Oh,
I didn't know you wanted to false me when you said much smarter. But I agree with you wholeheartedly that it's situational. I think it's a couple of things. It's grade wise. I mentor a lot. And so, and part of the reason I mentor, I want to pay it forward. And my goal is to be able to create a program where I can help high school students figure out the best route for them when it comes to higher education, JUCO, military, four-year university, ROTC, trade school, all that stuff, because I think there's so many different ways or avenues to get to the lifestyle that you want. And so I think it's not just the cost of the college, it's the family's financial situation. It's your grades graduating from high school. It's mentally, are you mature enough to deal with that? You know, does even the major, you know, all those things, you have to look at all those things and put them into place, because I don't think there's one right answer. Like everybody should go to JUCO for 2 years, stuff like that. I think some people need to get out of certain towns or go to get that full college experience. You know, even my experience with on the Heights of Seven Hills was extended, but in JUCO would have probably been a more financially feasible route. The experience I got from that 4-year university. So
sometimes you do need to leave your environment. As I was thinking it, you answered it, because I was about to ask, when is it better to go to a 4-year college over a JUCO? But like you said, sometimes that person may need to live that hometown, that environment that they grew up in, because if they stay, they're not going to stay focused on what they're supposed to be doing.
And I think some people's personality might just be bigger than that. Like they might just need to get out and explore. You know, it's not even that it's just a negative thing, like their hometown's a negative. It's like, yeah, man, some people are just made for the Big Apple. Some people are made for LA, you know. Let's get this person to, you know, that extra $10,000 in student loans is worth it, because it's going to help them grow in the end, because they would thrive in that environment. I think it's a lot of factors, you know. When I talk to people about school and they have false realities of what school they want to go to, you know, I'm in Houston, A&M is huge in Houston, and you start looking at the cost of Texas A&M. It's like, so tell me about your grades. What's your ACT score? What kind of scholarship you got? How much your mom and daddy made? Oh, no, Texas A&M is not for you, at least not right now.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you know, there's situations where you can go to this 4-year college, maybe even survive for a year financially. You go into that second semester or that first semester, sophomore year, but you owe $5,000 that you can't come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And now you wasted a year of your life, can't get those grades back because you owe the school money. You know, maybe JUCO is a better route.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. Like, the big thing is having a plan before you decide. You know, we were having this discussion with one of our friends about, you know, they kept coming with, oh, I think I want to do this with myself. I want to do this, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to this, and I'm going to go get a bachelor's degree, and I'm going to go do this. And I stopped and said, what is your plan for this degree? Like, why are you going to get this degree? What do you want to actually do with it? And so having the plan of what you're actually going to accomplish, and then being able to say, how am I going to pay for everything, and what is going to shake out? Because sometimes if you just want a better life and a better job, and you're interested in, you know, electrician work, then go to a trade school, and you don't need to go to a 4-year college, right? If you don't need to move out of the city right now because of, like Byron was saying, all these different factors, and you can still stay in the city anyway, then a JUCO for 2 years is fine, and then moving into a 4-year university and getting a bachelor's after that, you know, because what you're going to do is you're going to be able to do the JUCO way cheaper, the 2-year college way cheaper, and then move into it. And guess what? Your bachelor's degree still says that 4-year college at the end of it. No employer knows that you went to a 2-year university your first 2 years, and then you moved in to that 4-year university. So, you know, what I told Haley is, you know, look, she was talking about going to Mississippi State at one point, and I just told her, I was like, out-of-state fees are crazy, and unless you get a scholarship, you're not going out of state. You know what I mean? It was like, unless you can make sure that everything is paid for and you're on a full ride, you're not going out of state. That makes no sense. There's plenty of in-state schools that can give you what you need for what you're looking for, and you can go there and not have to worry about paying that out-of-state fee and everything. So we need to really be smart about having a conversation. And I think what's happening a lot of times is we have parents that have never gone to college, didn't know any of this, trying to advise the kids that are first year or first generation college bound children. So shout out to the Omega Lamplighters. I mean, any organization like that that's actually going out mentoring kids that are in this situation where their parents don't know these things. Our parents really were just like, we said we're going here, and they were like, okay. They didn't know how much it was. They didn't. I know my parents probably didn't even know that out-of-state tuition was more expensive than in-state. Like, they just didn't even know that. So being able to have that conversation, to look at what the cost is, what the future is, what your goals are, and then making that decision. It's not, like you guys said, it's not a clear-cut 2-year versus 4-year and everything like that. But you just got to be able to weigh all of the different options, so that you're not taking on extra debt for no real reason. Yeah, and that's exactly what it is, for no real reason. So I'm a firm believer in the grind. So I always tell people, you got a plan, and there's nothing wrong with grinding. So if that 4-year university is what you want, and you can have a plan for it, and it outweighs everything else, like, yeah, you might have to take some student loans. You might get a little in debt, but because of A, B, C, and D, that's why I'm going here. And you have a true plan. So I say the grind is a struggle with a plan. Like, a lot of times we just find ourselves struggling and have, like you said, hey, I want to get this bachelor's degree. Okay, you're going to struggle for 4 years to get this bachelor's degree. What are you going to do with it? What are you willing to sacrifice to get it? What is all the things you're going to do?
And I know a lot of kids don't necessarily know exactly what they want to do when they're in the 9th and 10th grade. But I do think it's a lot more helpful to start having that conversation towards the end of the 10th grade, 11th grade, because if they're set on going to a 4-year college, well, hey, make sure you have the grades and try to get some scholarships, because it's much, you have such an advantage if you can come out of school with a degree and little to no student loan debt, versus coming out and like, oh man, I know people with hundreds of thousands of dollars. I know people with student loan debt that they'll never pay it off in this lifetime. They've just accepted it. They just pay the minimum to keep their credit score going, but they're never going to pay that student loan off. So, if they're really set on going to a 4-year college, well, let's make sure we score high on the SAT. Let's have these grades up. Let's make sure we try our best to get some type of scholarship. Yeah. And write for scholarships. The other part about it is there's so much scholarship money that's not distributed because people don't write for them. A lot of them have essay requirements, and and you hear a lot of kids, I don't want to write all these essays. Truthfully, you can write 1-2 essays and you can recycle that essay for 10, 20 different scholarship applications. It's just putting in that little bit of extra work to do that. My older sister does that. She helps her students. She makes them write an essay or two, and she changes a few. Take 15, 20 minutes, change a few words, change the title. And because there's essays out there scholarships out there for being left-handed. So I think the main thing is a plan and to be able to make an educated decision, because, you might have to get student loans no matter what you do. Yeah. You might have to do that. So are you making the best decision? Do you know all your options? And just like you said, Razi, going to college, I'm first generation college student. I chose to go to Florida A&M University, and I ended up paying out-of-state fees. I didn't know there was such thing as out-of-state fees. When they were showing me how much per credit hour, I didn't know what that meant. It was just, I'm going to FAM. Like, whatever it took to get there, that's what I was going to do. And I could have took alternate routes. I should have been at UAB. Honestly, in-state, they have a great medical program. That should be my school. Was it the best choice for me? Maybe, maybe not. I'll never know, but I can't not go into FAM. Probably one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, but you have to at least know what you're getting into. Mm-hmm. And so when those things start rolling in, you have no regrets. So that was a great question. I talk about it all the time. I talk about with parents, my lamp lighters and everything. So I really like that question, and we need to revisit it again
probably in the spring as people are preparing to take their kids to college. So maybe we can have a more in-depth.
And maybe help them find some of them scholarships Razio was talking about, because I think a lot of people don't know about these different scholarships. So maybe we can have an episode where we put that out there as well.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So I think that's it, fellas. That was 3 questions.
Yeah.
I think we did it. Hopefully I don't get in too much trouble this time.
You probably are.
You think he did? You think so?
No, my wife knows me. She knows how I am. She knows that I'm not going anywhere. There's nobody else I'd rather be with.
Z gonna be like, I can go out here and flirt now.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about it is, she won't. You know, we're just understanding that we're 2 different people. You know what I'm saying? Like, my personality is different from hers. I've always been this way. I've always been a people's person. So that's just how I am. I want to go out and interact with people. She's more of an introvert, so she's probably not going to do that. You know, she'll accept a drink every once in a while, but I'm not too worried about it. Like, if she started flirting every time she went out, I'll probably be more worried, because that would be signs that there's something wrong rather than vice versa. If she always did it, then
you know who you married, and so that's the thing, is being able to see the change is the big thing. So
yeah.
We're gaining more and more followers on Instagram, 3 Brothers No Sense. So please follow us on there. We're also on Facebook, 3 Brothers No Sense. And like we said earlier, we're now on Apple Podcasts, y'all. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. What is it, Razio? Radio Form.
Yeah.
We're on pretty much any platform that you can get a podcast. We're on it. So we just ask, we thank you for listening, and we just ask that you tell people about us and help us grow and get bigger.
Like us, share us, talk to us, go to all of our social media pages, leave your comments, leave your thoughts, ask us questions, bring topics to the table. I mean, I had a great time this week communicating back and forth with our listeners. It lets us know that you're out there, that you're listening, that you're feeling us. So we appreciate the love. Once again, this is 3 Brothers No Sense. Appreciate it. Talk to you when we talk to you.